Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business of Business podcast. This is Roy, your host. So we are the show that brings a wide variety of guests on a whole diverse range of topics. You know, what we're hoping to do is just either spark an idea that maybe you haven't thought about, or we are, hoping that we can add some value by pointing you to some professionals that could help you not only increase your brand, your visibility, your business overall. And I'm going to say, please excuse me today. I woke up with a little bit of a allergy congestion, so I'm having to clear my throat a lot. I apologize for that. But I had such an awesome guest lined up for today that I just couldn't wait to get on here. There's been so much about this in the news. It's a very timely topic. So I want to introduce Crystal Layland. She is the host of Her Fearless Hustle, and that is the name of it, not referring to her, but the name of the podcast is Her Fearless Hustle. And she's also the founder of Her Career Insider. It's a private membership community of ambitious women that need to advance their career and increase their net worth. Her Career Visibility Workshop helps 9-to-5ers and side hustlers go from invisible to front runner in 8 weeks. So with that, Crystal, thanks for being on our show. I think this is, I know that you target women, but there are us dudes out there that can probably use help with this on the visibility side. So we're all going to be taking notes as well. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. So let's start. We, in the pre-show, we talked, there's so much going on around women and work and career and side hustles that we got a lot to unpack, so we're just going to jump into it. First off, I'd like for you to just talk a little bit about your the visibility workshop that you run that helps people to go from invisible to front runner.
Sure. The Visibility Workshop is an 8-week program where I help those who are established in their career really break out and expand their playing field by becoming visible and creating that foundation. So if they wanted to add, they have intention to add, like speaking or consulting, coaching, those types of side hustles to their, career.
Okay.
And the Visibility Workshop helps them build that foundation. So getting them on video, getting them talking, getting them out there, getting them to share their expertise and provide value. So we do that through teaching them how to get on video and how to do like guest podcasting, things like that.
Okay, awesome. And we're going to jump into some visibility topics. I want to get 3 of your strategies that you talk about. But before we do, I think we need to just stop and talk about the importance of this, especially during this time of life. Women have typically, I'm speaking for women like I know, but I will say that they typically have carried, kind of that economic burden for all of us. And it's kind of been highlighted recently by women probably more than men having to leave the workforce to stay home with children, to help homeschool, to educate. I also do some work with the aging. So we see that on the other side of the spectrum too, is that when parents get old, it's typically, the woman of the family that has to reduce her working hours or leave a career in order to take care of hers or her husband's or some other family member's aging parents. So, there's a lot around that. So I think the importance is not only, that 9 to 5, but some people have really begun to rely on their side hustles to help families pay the bills, through this pandemic and tough times.
Yes, of course. Where do you want? I mean, is there a question?
No. It's just yeah, no. There's really no question. It's more of just, that's what we're seeing. It's become more and more vital.
And I think it's, you mentioned about you being a male opening this discussion, but it's vitally important that males understand this discrepancy in the workplace, because we need to see change, and we need to understand where women fall in the responsibilities that they hold at home, but also in the workplace. So like last year, I mean, there's just been talk all over, especially because of the pandemic this past year, about how women are taking on the burden at home. They're taking on more tasks and more emotional labor in the workplace because of our identities, because of that social conditioning piece, where women are like the emotional hub, the ones that are putting things together, the ones that are, planning in all of those different characteristics that are like attributed to females. But we have to understand, like, we are overworking them in the workplace with that intense emotional labor, those added tasks without that added compensation. And then in the household, there's an incredibly high rate of females that left the workforce back in September of 2020. And it was from a Forbes article. And we've got to do something about that.
Right.
Because we have ambition, we have this need to make an impact, and we put our families first, of course. But then where do we come out when it comes to our career? Because our career is an important piece in our life as well.
Right.
Making that difference, providing that value, and just really stretching our growth.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And as I related to you earlier, it was a eerie coincidence that as we were getting ramped up, I had the TV on in the background, and a major network, NBC, they do PSAs in the morning, and just so happens a guy came on and said that, when women ask for raises in the workplace, they are typically turned down, whereas men ask for them, they are overwhelmingly given one in a reasonable fashion. So anyway, it just, a lot of things here again we need to unpack. And, I think we as a society, we as the workforce companies, we can all do better. We have to understand this as, if you are an employer that employs women, I mean, you have to take these things into consideration about, sometimes their struggle is not at work, it's at home. And so, their mind may be at home, and whatever we can do to help balance that work-life balance for everyone, men too. There are men that go through this struggle, but anyway, we just need to be a lot more aware of these things, I think.
And I'm going to probably be a little outrageous here
Yeah.
by saying this, but that 40-hour work week, those strict restrictions on being like at work,
Right.
I feel like we need to really revise those so that we can definitely have strong employees that are loyal to the company, that are doing really good work, but also rewarding them for living.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we have like that 40-hour work week is it's just been ingrained in us.
Right.
And I don't think we really truly understand that. How did that develop, and is it really necessary? Or are these rules, these set standards that every especially large employers have with their scheduling of their staff, is that necessary? If you were to make some tweaks to allow for that flexibility to care for the household, if we were to make some tweaks, would you have a better office space? Would you have more productivity? Would you be able to expand and grow your business? There just needs to be a little more flexibility with thinking about how we're structuring our practice and how we're structuring our businesses. And that's that's a really far out statement, but it all trickles down to. So
Right. And well, we miss out on a lot of good talent. I'll speak from that business side, is that if we don't watch those things, we can miss out on incredible talent, because I know I've worked
right.
with companies where, this one manager had an awesome lady, but she was very steady, good worker, good person. And then all of a sudden she just quit showing up. Well, but this manager took the initiative to call her up, and she wouldn't answer. Went to her house, said, "What's up with you? This isn't like you." Well, their car, I think, had gotten repoed, and so she didn't have a way to get the child to the babysitter. She didn't have a way to get to work, and so instead of calling and putting up with the hassle of somebody hollering at her and telling her how bad she was for not getting there, she just chose not to. And a lot of times it's because she can eventually go get another job paying the same amount somewhere else. But this manager took the time to go out, find this out. They were able to provide a workaround. So it ended up being a win-win for both. The manager got her employee back, who she knew the job and she could trust and was a good worker. And the worker got her job back that she liked. But it was this little communication and some preconceived ideas that, they just both had to get over. So, I think that's always one of my favorite stories to tell, is that, we never know what we don't know. So we have to ask the questions, at least put in the time to ask that question to see what's going on. We never know what's going on in other people's life. And sometimes you can't work around it. I get that. Sometimes it just, it's a good time to separate, but there are a lot of times that you can build some bridges, flexibility and schedules. Maybe husband's work schedule changed. He can't watch the child, but now, hey, I could extend your hours. You can come in you can come in later and stay later. Anyway, there's a million scenarios we could go through, but I think my point is just ask the question, have a dialogue, talk about it, and see what you can work out. So let's get back to, sorry, I kind of digress, but it's just like this is all so top of mind. I just wanted to get off and talk about that. But let's look back at your visibility workshop. So what are 3 overlooked strategies that we can use to increase our career visibility?
Sure. Video, number one.
Okay.
Video is just an incredible tool. It doesn't have to be something like ridiculously elaborate or long. You don't have to buy any fancy equipment. Everyone has a smartphone nowadays.
Right.
So getting on video, getting in and posting that. I do a LinkedIn video, which is one of my favorites because that's where my ideal target audience is. But video is one incredible tool. The second is using LinkedIn, especially for career professionals. It's just an incredible tool. There's still that organic reach. There's high-level conversations happening. There's access to industry experts and peers who are actually engaging in the conversation with you, as like compared to other social media platforms. Guest podcasting, showing up in front of an already established audience and providing value, sharing your expertise, having really engaged discussion about your topic, your specialty. Those 3 are overlooked strategies, in my opinion, that can really open opportunities for you in your career.
Right.
Whether that's like adding extra side income or getting the spotlight on you from other employers or your own employer saying, oh, I didn't know that so-and-so was so invested in this, in expanding in your own workplace, or even taking a different turn in your career and leaving the corporate world altogether and having a go at entrepreneurship. Yep. There's so many opportunities. it's just a matter of getting visible
Right.
and providing value.
You know what? I want to take a minute to talk because I'm a big proponent of video, and I've talked a lot about it for years. And the fact that people, longtime listeners probably get sick of me saying it, but when we talk about, let's say, a blog, if you just put out some text, it's okay. If you put a picture in it, it's even better. But they say that the video is what can really lead people back. And so when we think about that, let's take it in the LinkedIn terms. Two things I think are very important. Number one, it's hard for personality to come out in text. So if we just write a really thoughtful post, it's great, but then people don't really get to know you, get to feel you, and I think that's important. An important part of the video as well. The other thing to think about is the space it takes up. When we write a text post on LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere, we get the block of whatever the text is. And so it can be easy to get scrolled by or get missed, so if we have a picture, we take up more space, same with the video. And so it's just another kind of an eye grabber for people that it'll make them stop on your post a lot more to have that. And then if you got the video, then you're, showcasing not only what you want to talk about, but your personality as well, which is I think it's very important to try to, because what we're really trying to do on here is connect with somebody. And it's hard it's harder through the written word. We can say things people like for sure, but when they see you, they're like, hey, I like that person. I respect that person. I want to listen to, what they have to say. So very good point. So then the other thing is so why should we be paying more attention to our personal brands, as we come out of 2020, getting into 2021?
Sure. Well, a lot of people are sitting very comfortably in their careers, not really thinking ahead. And then all of a sudden we're hit with this pandemic and there's unexpected job losses, or there's, a lot of downfall from this. And this is just one incident, but it definitely revealed a lot of loopholes in how we're positioning our career. Yeah. So paying attention to your personal brand is something that if you're not doing it already, we really need to start, because it will help you maintain or pick up from a job loss.
Right.
It will allow you to be proactive and having that plan B. Like I said, if you start on video today and start just providing value, 60 minutes, once or twice a week, not 60 minutes, 60 seconds, okay. Just a minute. Yeah. It doesn't have to be long.
Right.
But if you have something to say, provide value for 60 seconds, less than a minute, and put it on your LinkedIn and engage with your audience there. You're going to start to build a foundation and establish another opportunity where you can add additional streams of income. Yep. So it's leveraging the technology that we have available and provide value in the marketplace. And then you're able to decide where you take that.
Yeah.
But if you don't start, you can't go 3 months down the road and be like, well, I really need some extra income. This isn't, some things happen and shifts in my job and it's just not working out.
Right.
I know for me, if I wanted to add additional income, getting a part-time job in town is not going to provide the additional income that I need.
Correct.
I guess with the time away from my family, etc. It's just not going to be the amount that we're looking for.
Right.
So you establishing yourself, opening that door of opportunity, expanding your playing field, you're able to really take control of of how much you want coming in, just depending on where you take it. Speaking engagements, I mean, all these things you can set your price, speaking engagements, consulting, coaching, affiliate marketing is not something you can really play with as far as like setting your own price, but there's just so many opportunities. You just have to start now because you have to be visible, and that's just a key thing. If you are serious about your career, if you like I said, we don't know what can happen. Anything can happen. Like if we sit too comfortably in our careers, what are you going to do when something happens?
Yep. Yeah, and that's a good point.
Plan?
Yeah, that's a good point. We never know. Sometimes we can see the handwriting on the wall and we have some lead time. Sometimes we don't. The other thing too is if you've been at some place for a long time, you may get complacent. One thing I always tell people to do from a young age is get a 3-ring binder. Any training, any certificates, anything like that you accumulate, put it in that binder. If you never need it, it's not a lot of time out of your day to punch some holes in a piece of paper and throw it in. But what happens is you've been at a job 10, 15 years thinking you maybe were going to be there forever, and then it ends. You've got your binder where you can put together your resume or update your resume. And then, it's kind of the other thing is you don't have to keep it polished all the time, but it's not too bad to just have a resume that's always in the works, to be able to add these lines of accomplishments and things because for me, I will say if I had to sit down and start thinking back over the years of some things that have happened, it would be difficult. But if you've got a place to go, flip it open and look in it. And then one more thing is always, it used to be a little easier in the business card days because you could, what I say is get the business card, jot down a few notes on the back of it. There's electronic ways to upload it, but now you can just open a file or a OneNote or somewhere to write down everybody's name that you come in contact with, a little point about them, because it goes two ways. We never know when we might be able to help them, and we need to give freely without expecting things in return. But we never know when we may have to reach out and say, they may be a hiring manager at a company we're trying to get onto. So if we've got that relationship, much easier to get in the door. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you. I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
you mentioned something that I wanted to kind of elaborate on.
That back on the 3-ring
Oh yeah,
binder.
the 3-ring binder.
Yeah.
So here's what, like, just to kind of step it up a little bit with that, we should always have a resume on hand.
Right.
Like you should always be having like an updated resume so that in case there was an opportunity that you didn't have a lot of time to like prepare a resume and you need to submit one right away,
right,
you'd have a little tweaks and then you're able to send it out. So we should have an updated resume, at least revisit that maybe at the end of the year every year.
Okay.
But what we need to be paying attention to as well is, you said keeping a 3-ring binder. That is great. That is one piece of the puzzle. Another piece is jotting down your wins for the week. Like, what did you accomplish? What can you add to that binder? Like,
right,
what happened that week?
Yeah.
And being able, the third piece is to be able to talk about that,
yeah,
to be able to feel confident enough to express and share that with your boss or a mentor or a sponsor. And we often shy away from talking about ourselves, but we have to get over that hump because we have to be able to communicate clearly
right,
what we bring to the table.
Yeah, and I think that an important part that you just brought up was the writing down those wins that we have every week, because resumes, you can probably talk more to this than me, but resumes have changed over the years, and there was a time when it was more task focused, like, I turn the computers on, I work in Word, I work in Excel. But I think that we've moved past that to more of what value have you added? Like, we took on this project and accomplished this and either brought in this much more revenue or saved this much money. The more detailed quantification of the success is much, I think it's better on our resumes now than the old task oriented, like, this is what I do every day.
I'm not going to speak on resumes, but I think that because I think there's more other individuals that are more qualified than me to talk about resumes. But just another way to get your mind wrapped around this is that nobody else is going to be paying attention to your skills and experience and your accomplishments. But you.
Exactly.
Like your boss is not paying that close attention. Yeah, they're going to know if you're late or if you missed a deadline. Right. But they are not going to be paying that close attention. And you have to do that. So you have to speak for yourself. You have to document for yourself. And you have to take control and get in that driver's seat of your career.
Yeah, because we could say the same thing about, we were kind of focused on resumes, but we could say the same thing about going in and asking for a raise at the end of the year. If you've got your list of accomplishments that you walk in and say, here's some things that we're going to talk about, some concrete examples of what I've added to this company, and while the boss should know, let's just give them a break for a minute, say they've got, I don't know, 20, 25, 50, 100 people, however many people under them. They're not going to remember each and everything. Like you said, they will remember the day that you might have been running late. But, all these accomplishments, they're not going to really be focused. So if we don't keep up with that, they certainly won't. So that's a great point. So there are, you mentioned that there are 3 simple steps that we can position ourselves for career advancement and additional income. So you just mentioned how we can do all those in under 60 minutes a day.
Sure. So LinkedIn is definitely my go-to for positioning yourself for career advancement. In being active on LinkedIn, you can do that in probably less than 60 minutes a day. But the 3, I guess, steps, some very simple steps, is to make new connections and to be engaged in conversation that you're interested in,
right?
And produce video content. Those are 3 simple steps. They shouldn't take much time, but there's something important to understand about connections and engagement on LinkedIn, because just having a connection is not necessarily beneficial.
Right.
So I have probably 2,000 connections. It's not a terrible amount, but if I go and connect with somebody just because they sent me a request and they're not really active on LinkedIn, it doesn't serve a purpose at all.
Right.
So you have to be intentional about who you're connecting with on there. You want to connect with industry peers who are in the same line of work, industry experts, and those that you can serve. So if you are in accounting, connect with people that you can help with whatever area of accounting that you specialize in. But when you look for these connections, make sure that they're engaging on posts. Make sure that they're creating content. It doesn't have to be daily content.
Right.
But go and look and see what they posted recently,
right.
And see if they're sharing content. That's going to be a really good connection for you, because then you can go back to the 3 simple steps that I mentioned. They're going to be the ones that more likely you can have a conversation with, and that you can get that engagement and that's going to be the beneficial piece on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And you could do that every day.
Yep.
I mean, it's so easy, so quick. And when you start, soon it's just going to be one of those things that you do.
Right.
And then it's going to snowball from there if you do it with intention.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I do that some people may say it's a huge waste of time, but LinkedIn has a great feed in the mornings where I get people's birthdays and I get people who have had career advancement or something like that. And so while it takes me about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes to run through and just, say congratulations or happy birthday, I've actually gotten jobs off of that because I had a guy that, we had been connected. We'd kind of seen each other at industry events. And then, one day it was like, I guess he'd been at this company for 15 years or whatever. So I just hit the button that said, hey, congratulations on your work anniversary. He immediately emailed me back and said, hey, I'm glad you reached out because, I need this project done and I was wondering who could do it. And I know you can. And to me, it's an importance of being top of mind is because there's a lot of people that can do your service and there's a lot of people that can provide it. And you may know John Q. Public. You might have met him years ago, but if you haven't kept up with them or if you're not in front of them, but the other guy, your competitor, he might have just saw him at an event yesterday. He's going to be top of mind. So when John Q needs this work done, it's going to be like, oh, this is the person I'm going to go with not because they're better necessarily, but just because it's top of mind. So another great reason to, be active and put this content out. And another thing, I'm not huge on scripts or overproducing, so I love the more videos where they're just raw. Somebody just picked up that phone, they had a great thought, something that was going to benefit others, and just took a little 30-second, 45-second video and posted it out there. I get more from those than I usually stay away from those that look very overproduced and overscripted because I don't know. It gets back to the trust factor. I mean, I trust somebody who's just being themselves and putting it out there.
Right.
So, speaking of LinkedIn, what are some ways that we could optimize our profile and maybe make some updates or some tweaks on that?
Sure. Take a look at your profile picture. Make sure it's like up to date. Make sure that it's not like I've seen some crazy profile pictures, like
right.
where it's half of a face or a sunglass lens or something, and I'm like, that's not the platform for LinkedIn. Okay, right. Or that's not the profile pic for LinkedIn. So really make sure that it's polished. You know, it doesn't have to be like a professional photo. I think mine up there is like I snapped on my smartphone. It's not, but it's a current photo. It's professional and it's clear. Yeah. So taking, a look at your profile picture, the cover, you can do a cover on your LinkedIn profile. If you choose, you can create one in Canva really quick, whip one up and showcase a little more of your expertise. It's kind of like your billboard. Right. You don't want a lot of text on there, but something that's eye-catching and to the point would be very helpful. The headline, the headline is just something that I think people really misuse. They either have like this ridiculous title that nobody really knows what they do. Right. So if you, some employers have crazy titles and you're like, well, that's not really, you can use a generalized title that's searchable if you wish. You don't want to put all your accolades up in the headline. That's just, it takes up too much space. So be very clear. If you want to put like a tagline up there that says, I provide software engineering services for like small, I don't know, whatever, I'm
Yeah,
not good on the spot making this up, but
right.
You want to say what you do and who for.
Yeah.
So and one thing that I talk a lot about with my private clients is treating your career like a business. Like you have a service that you provide.
Right.
So when I say that, going back to that headline, think about the service that you provide and who for, and be very clear, because that's what's going to get more attention. I've seen way too many letters up there. You know, when people have letters behind their name, which is great. That's just not the space for that. So make it very clear what you do and who you can help.
Right.
That's going to really help you. And you could change that. Like, don't be afraid to play around with it. But I would address that headline first.
Yeah.
The about section, and this is going to be my last little tip to really optimize. But the about section, try to give value there. A lot of people talk about me, but it'd be very beneficial for you to think about something that maybe it's like a trend or a pain point or a problem in your industry, your field, and provide a little snippet of what that is and how you can change that around. What can you do? What steps can you provide? So like a little tip, a small brief statement about what's going on in your industry, why that's happening, and here's how to change that around.
Right.
That's going to be beneficial, for connecting with people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
don't look at mine because I have to update mine.
Yeah, back to the pictures, that's one thing I can speak to that's changed a lot, because back when LinkedIn first started gaining popularity, we had to be in a suit and tie, and you don't, it's all business. But my opinion is it has eased up some and become a lot more personable. So, like mine, I've gone to just a picture in a collared shirt. With anything we talk about, there is that line of crazy that you can cross. So that, definitely we want to stay just this side of something that is too outlandish and ridiculous. But I do think that, being ourselves, being honest, being human, that's what we want to try to do, because the whole reason for this is trying to connect. I mean, it's not trying to let somebody know that I do own a suit and tie, even though I don't wear it that much. It's more of, who am I? How can I help you? Can we connect? Because people tend to buy from people that they like. They tend to see a lot of themselves in the other person. There's this trust factor. Those are all the things that we are trying to do digitally, over LinkedIn with our profiles, with our pictures and all this stuff. We're never going to make it all the way, but I mean, it's a good start for somebody to want to reach out to talk to you to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are 3 must-have connections that we for LinkedIn?
Oh, yep. And that was the, going back to the industry peers, the industry experts, and those that you can serve. Again, making sure that they're engaged on the platform, making sure that they're, having those conversations and sharing content, because that's going to help you. Yeah. That's going to help you engage with them as well.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Crystal, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. So before we let you go, a couple questions. First off is, what is a tool, an app, habit, a ritual? What is something that you do every day in your personal life that adds a lot of value that you just couldn't do without?
So I run my business through Asana. So Asana is a project management tool.
Okay.
And that is one thing that I can't live without. It allows me to organize the things that I have to do for my business. It keeps my clients on task, allows like due dates and things like that. So it's just a one-stop shop for me.
Okay.
So that's my
Okay,
Cool.
good. We'll have to check that out then. Next thing is, so who is your client? What can you do for them, and how can they reach out and get a hold of you?
Sure. So for the visibility workshop, my clients are career professionals who are established in their career. They have ambition. They want to get in front of the room. They want to expand their playing field. They want to add additional income streams. And I help them get visible. I help them build that confidence to be able to talk about what they do and to add value to the marketplace. Okay. And if you're interested in hearing about that workshop and if it's the right thing for you, you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Crystal Layland, or you can send me a text message, 612 230 8900.
Okay. Well, great. And we will put all of that contact information in the show notes as well, and then up on the web page when we post this episode. So anyway, y'all reach out, give Crystal a call, see how she can help you either advance your career or help you with that side hustle to maybe make it your full-time gig. There's nothing more exciting than that, than taking something that you love to do and you're doing it on the side and turn it into a business that you can actually live off of. So anyway, thank you again for being with us. This is going to do it for another episode of the Business of Business podcast. Of course, you can always find us at www.thebusinessofbusinesspodcast.com. We're on all the major podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify. If we're not on one that you listen to regularly, please give me a email heads up, and I will see if we can get us added to that. Of course, we're on all the major social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. And this episode video will go up on the YouTube channel once it has been posted. So until next time, y'all take care of each other and take care of yourself.